Mr. Elmer's Music Club.
What's up, my friends? All right, welcome back to another video. This is going to be my second intermediate style guitar lesson, and a huge shout out to those of you that dropped me comments in the first one. It really helps me figure out how to do these because I don't have you sitting in the room, and I want to make them as best as I can for you, and I want to make them fun, short, to the point, small chunks. So I'm going to give you a little bit of theory in. So don't stress. If you don't understand the stuff I'm talking about, I promise, stick with me. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. We'd love to have you in the music family here, and I promise you I will teach you to do this. I'll teach you to understand it, and you're going to have a blast. Okay, so let's get started. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to throw up a chord chart that has the intervals on it. All right, so before I do that, I want to show you, we're going to focus on an E minor. So here's that kind of bar chord on the GoPro. We all learned that bar chord, right? That's just like kind of the de facto default thing we do. And then the G major bar chord. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Now here's the first chord chart. I'm going to throw up the E minor, and you're going to see we're just doing the root, the E, and then the minor third, the G. And you'll see an X over the strings that I don't really want you to sound out. I'll explain that later. You're going to connect all the dots on this, okay? And then the open strings. But you can kind of experiment it. Really playing a guitar is like being a percussionist. So for example, instead of playing the E minor like this, the bar chord, which is totally cool and sounds great, you're going to play it like this today. Just you're going to emphasize that interval of the minor third. So again, you can kind of hear the full chord. Sounds great, and then the interval. It's just a stripped down version, and it allows the listener's ear to kind of, it simplifies it for them, and then it just adds this kind of simple beauty to the sound, all right? So that is the root and the minor third, E to G. Now let's throw up the chord chart for the G. So then the G, we're gonna go like this on the GoPro. Here is the root, G, to the major third, which is B. Alright, so you could play the bar chord G like this, but you can just strip it down to the major third interval like this. So again, let's practice this. Let's go from the minor third interval of E to the major third interval of G. And what I want you to notice too is these are the same shape. So you can practice, look, see how it's the shape? I'm using my first and third finger. You can use whatever you want, but I feel like that's probably gonna work out best. And I just move it over to the G. So again, I think a lot of people fail to point out too that guitar, there's a lot of repeatable shapes, all right? So just get comfortable with that. So just to go back and forth between those two, it sounds like this. So here's on the GoPro. All right, so that's all fine and dandy, and believe me, it sounds really cool. So just kind of play both. Play like the full bar chord. Here's the E minor bar chord to the interval, to the G major bar chord, to the interval. All right? And two, I'm always thinking in-game for everything. So me personally, I'm always thinking about songwriting. So I'm always thinking of, oh, the interval would be like a great way to do an intro. And the reason I always refer to the Red Hot Chili Peppers when I do these interval things is that's really where at first my light bulb moment was, where I heard John Frusciante doing it in that song Scar Tissue, you know, I don't remember the riff, but you get my point. And I was like, oh, he's using intervals. I get it now. All right, now part two of this, because some of you asked for it in the last video. You want me to step it up a little bit further. So here, I'm gonna throw up the chord chart for E now. The E minor interval, but what I'm also doing is, if you notice on this one, I'm adding in the fifth, okay? So you've got E, G, and now I'm gonna put my second finger on that seventh fret of the high E, and I've got the B. That's actually a minor triad. That's the E minor triad right there. And see, I'm gonna connect these dots for you. I wanna show you the intervals, because triads, I'm telling you, everyone, that if you can actually just learn like intervals and triads and know those like the back of your hand, you're gonna sound like a professional guitarist. And then it's just a matter of putting the technique together, okay? So you got this. All right, so then you're adding that E, G, and B in there. So you hear that? That just, see? Hear that sound? Now what's cool is you can do this. Now you can go back and forth between just the E and G, and then throw that B in there. So if you're not following me, you gotta ask me questions, you gotta give me comments. Even if you give me like a thumbs up like on this that you get it, or just shoot me a message like, hey, oh, that makes sense. That will help me a lot to help you, okay? Now let's go over to the G one. And if you notice, what I did on this chord chart is I added another G on the high E. So it just adds, I swear, music is so rad because it's one little tiny piece you add and it just heightens everything in your playing. So just by adding that high G, so you got the low G, the high G, and you've got the major third, the B. And that is, so that right there is just a whole nother level of sound. So the first one I showed you, the G and the B. Now let's add the G, B, and G. You can hear it, so look at that shape. Okay? So here's what I want you to practice. I want you to do this. Practice just doing the root and minor third on the E minor chord, okay? And then I want you to practice doing the G and the major third on the G, okay? And then I want you to take it to the next level where I showed you, where on the E minor, you add the B. So go back and forth. So just sit there on the E minor and go like this. I'll show you on my finger how I'm doing it. And then on the B and the G, go like this. So then you put the whole thing together and you've actually got the foundation for an amazing song, just an amazing, for you to have fun listening to it. So check it out. So like this, I'm just gonna show you everything I did kind of in practice and what it sounds like to play through it. And then we're gonna kind of keep connecting the dots and moving forward. And again, anything you want to see added to this, throw it in the comments for me, okay? So here we go. So now check it out. Now if I want to throw in the full bar chords with the intervals and go back and forth, then you can really get spice like this. So that's it. So hopefully I'm kind of connecting the dots for you here, because we can even branch out off of here. Then there's a whole lot of other intervals you can throw in there, little notes that just spice it up. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that lesson. Hopefully it made sense. But again, you really help me make these better and better for you. If you can drop me comments, put questions in there, shoot a like so I can spread this. Oh, and I'm putting together some like affiliate links that kind of shows the gear I use. So if you want to check that out, no big deal. It might be there, it might not. I'm trying to learn how to do that. But I did set up a merch store. But my goal is to just grow this community into something incredible. I consider it our channel, and to me, that's the bottom line. The most important thing are all the people on this channel. So if that resonates with you and you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you. I will value, and I'd love all your input. All right, so on that note, let's all go out, create music to make the world a better place. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.